The Wynncraft 2.0.4 update has just been dropped on the Hero Beta. This update is heavily focused on adding to and rebalancing Lootrunning with some very nice features on the side. So, let's take a dive into what this update has in store. Added some new void holes in the Void Valley to allow for easier traversal. Thanks, Greg. Some boons and curses were rebalanced. Some silverable level up perks have been altered. Also, character-specific bank pages are out now, which heavily increases your storage space and allows you the perfect location to store character-specific items. Now let's cover what are, in my opinion, the 3 major selling points of this update that are currently available to play in the Hero Beta. Korkian amplifiers are now one of 3 Korkian augments. The amplifier still boosts the percentages directly, but there are also 2 new Korkian augments you can use with amplifiers. The first of these is the Korkian Simulator. Normally, when you reroll an item, its reroll counter goes up, and it becomes pricier to reroll. But let's say I reroll this immolation with a simulator active. Boom. Its reroll counter hasn't been affected, and its next reroll costs the exact same price as the roll I just did. The second one is the Korkian Insulator. If I use it on this immolation, I can pick one of its IDs, and when I reroll, where the other IDs randomly change, the one I chose stays the same. A great way to maintain good rolls and important IDs, while also re-rolling the others. Now, these items sound way too good to be true, so what's the downside? For one, you cannot use an insulator and a simulator at the same time. You must use one or the other. The other thing is that both of these new items are of mythic rarity. Available from loot runs as the rarest item type excluding mythics themselves. The only reason I have so many is because a certain Bovamist icon let me borrow some for demonstration purposes. Now, let's cover the major changes to Lootrunning as a whole. First up, we got some beacon rebalancing. Yellow beacons now spawn in a flying chest, or chests if the beacon is boosted, lots of loot. Orange beacon buff is now temporary, and if boosted, the duration is doubled rather than the effect. They can appear indefinitely though. Dark Grey beacon got nerfed, going from 5 to 3 and reward pools, rip. Aqua stacking is now impossible, as aquas, alongside reds and greens, can't spawn more than twice in a row. They can now spawn indefinitely though. And finally, Grey beacons now give you missions instead of rerolls. Wait, what's a mission? Missions are optional challenges to pursue alongside your main objective, and completing them can give you some game-changing buffs. These can be as major as getting a random boon with every curse you collect, or increasing the power of all boons by 50%, or even consuming one of your curses every time you beat a challenge. They might be the new meta, as during my early access gameplay, I found a combination of missions that allowed for a seemingly infinite loot run, which I had to manually end to record footage for this video. What combination of missions did I use, you might ask? It's a secret. Haha. And finally, the biggest change in this update is the debut of some brand new loot runs, the Molten Heights Hike and the Sky Islands Expedition. The Molten Heights Hike is a dangerous loot run, with much less caves than the other loot runs. To make up for this, the Molten Heights Hike is extremely combat-centered. Whether you defend a payload from dwarves in actual tanks, or destroy an anthill which constantly spews out little creatures, or fight the evil shadow dwarf. This is a loot run for players who want a trial by fire. On the other hand, the Sky Islands Expedition is a lot more focused on not just its challenges, but traversing around the islands to get from place to place. Using these special throw clouds to launch yourself across the islands, will you climb a beanstalk for a battle in the sky? Loot the many caves in the region? Or will you climb the villainous tower of wave-spamming lambs? Whatever you do, this is a loot run for players that want to be challenged not just by the usual challenges, but also by Wynncraft's most treacherous terrain, where one mistake could leave you plummeting into the void. And that's all there is to it. So this has been Duoface, and huge thanks to the Wynncraft devs for giving us Media Rank's early access to the beta.